Yo, this is Art the Architect with More Than Haircut podcast, and I I'm glad I got a chance to reach out to you, and also I'm glad my brother introduced me to you. So first and foremost, I would like for you to introduce yourself, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Alex Wolf. I am a tech influencer, tech anthropologist, and I also care a lot about creative entrepreneurship. So, what I talk about is the relationship between technology and society. And I'm also the founder of Creative Business School, which is an online education platform that teaches creatives how to merchandise their brand with various products that make them reach their financial goals.
Cool, 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 cool. I want to get right into it. I said, fathers don't usually get the credit as mothers do.
Mhm.
How important was your father's presence, and how influential is he in your life?
So important. My dad definitely was the type and is still, but as a kid, my parents actually separated when I was 2 years old. They were married.
Okay.
They got divorced when I was two, and my dad fought for custody for me. So I was actually in a rare situation where my dad had the majority custody over raising me as a child. So that gave me more time to spend with him, and I grew up kind of being a daddy's girl in his world. And so I think his passion for technology, his passion for just, I think, culture and art and all those things definitely had a huge influence on me. And, everybody has family drama, everybody has, stuff that they deal with, but I definitely know how to appreciate both of my parents and definitely my father at the end of the day for everything he's done to push me and motivate me. And really, I think what I value most about how he raised me
Mm.
was not to emphasize how I look or anything like that. He was always very affirmative in making sure he told me, you are smart, you are capable, and those types of like affirmations that validate parts of me that aren't just about looks, which a lot of young girls are under that pressure. I think
Yeah.
helped me a lot to be confident.
That makes me think about conversations that I had with my daughter. Her name is Shaki, and she actually did this painting here. So
Oh, it's beautiful.
that's her name means beautiful too. So that's a conversation that her and I have where I'm like, I'm big on integrity.
Yeah.
That's one of the main things. So the other thing is just know that you're beautiful, and don't nobody has to tell you that.
Hmm.
So my next question is, I read the book, I finished it.
Thank you so much. I'm
So
so happy you enjoyed it.
yeah, yeah. So I don't really want to. I'm not gonna give away, what people should read and learn, but um, resonate. What sparked the thought? That's the first one, and then when did you know that it was a book?
Yeah, so after, just for everyone who's listening, I started my first company on Instagram when I was 21 years old, and it was successful, but it was kind of a crazy situation because it went viral and I had to pretty much learn how to run an online business overnight. And I learned so much about the process. I learned so much about myself. And after a few years, I actually decided to sell the company.
Okay.
And one of the biggest things that I wanted to make sure I did after I sold the company was sort of share my story of why I think the messaging went viral and why it was such a successful brand. So the inspiration behind Resonate was really, I think I'm very passionate about creatives not, like you said, not sacrificing the integrity of their work in the name
Mhm.
of an algorithm. And one of the things that I saw that really pained me the most was how many artists were changing the nature and the quality of their work just to get more likes or followers,
Yeah.
and not really sticking to the course and remembering that it doesn't matter what algorithm is there, there's a human being at the end of the computer or the phone, and that is who you should be paying attention to. So I really wanted to get that message out, and my book was my way of sharing that story.
Okay. I mean, like, just hearing the first couple of questions that I asked, I can see the impact of the book and what was really going on.
Hmm.
Um. Next. So even well, before I get into this, a lot of what I read and a lot of what I got, it reminded me of my brother.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Mark Millions on Instagram.
Is this the one that recommended the book?
He recommended
Tell
the
him
book.
I said hi and thank you.
Yeah, he has a marketing company. He was the one that initiated the CEO Millionaire,
Uh-huh.
the concept and the idea a few years ago.
Okay.
But you know, like I was saying, y'all remind me of each other on how how technology, I say it took over, but like you said, you kept the human side of what was going on and using the technology to impact the world. So
Right.
I see a lot of similarities.
Right.
So, you know, the next question, I created an album called the Manefa Project. Manefa just means eternal beauty. I'm originally from Memphis. And
Okay.
after reading the book, The Artist Way, that kind of like, it impacted me in a way because my cousin introduced me to the book, and I was kind of like, I was thrown on putting in the work that I had to put in on just
Right.
writing every day and taking a journal, and that's not being something that I did, but I was always a writer.
Mm-hmm.
So The Artist Way by Julia Cameron was mentioned, and like, what did you get from reading the book?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a few years, so I'm trying to remember, but I do agree that it does set up systems for you to start being more accountable about how your creativity plays a role in your life. And I think that I also remember it having a lot of like journal prompts and
Yeah.
really encouraging free flowing stream of conscious type of writing, which I think is so therapeutic and so helpful. I was actually just tweeting about how important it is that our schedule reflects our priorities and that our priorities reflect our values.
Mm.
I myself, I mean, I don't know about you, but I get caught up in doing stuff that I'm like, why am I even doing this? Like,
Yeah.
you have to. I think what I like about that book is that it's kind of an accountability partner where it's kind of reminding you like, hey, why are you doing this? And is this actually a part of the bigger, purpose that actually serves you? So I definitely recommend it for creatives.
Yeah, I do too. You know, just to piggyback off it, it also helped me not have writer's block.
Yeah.
Just from the fact that I'm some days I didn't even want to write, but I wrote big ass words on a page, and I was like, you know what, I still got the writing done.
Your
But
mind's
then
ahead of so many other people just by doing that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like it helped me dive into myself
Mm.
as a young male in Memphis, and it was just a lot going on. But I got a chance to really just dive into myself and then put my ideas on paper and then record them and put it out. And I'm just like, I'm thankful for that.
That's great.
Um, I feel as though personally I'm a bridge to the old and the young, so I still consider myself a millennial. My elders look at me and say I'm young. The young ones say I'm old. Though. What advice do you have for the people who are bridge gappers? A, in the
Mm.
sense of helping elders and using technology, and B, how would you say approach the young geniuses with wisdom?
Wow, what a beautiful, profound question. So just for everyone who's listening, I think it's important context that people know that part of why I'm so passionate about technology is because I see how it isolates certain age groups, specifically older people. There's a certain pressure in our society to keep up with new technology as it's arriving, as it's being invented. And if you don't, then it becomes a huge threat to your livelihood in more than one way. It becomes harder to find a job. It becomes harder to get even medical help. And these are real threats and concerns for people who are older or just don't have the tech literacy to navigate these types of things. And so it's, I think initially people look at it and they think, oh, that's sweet, Alex cares about old people. And I do. I find them to be very charming and full of
Yeah.
wisdom. And I don't like how, for the most part, our culture disposes of old people. But I think when you look at it from even another dimension, I see our future as millennials, and
Say
I
better.
see how be. Yeah, like that will be us one day. And part of why I'm so concerned is that I think between social media and just entertainment and all the distractions we have going on, you can literally not remember or realize that you will eventually age. You will eventually be at a different life stage, and life is not always going to be the way it is. And not only that, but at the rate we're adopting the technology, we're going to be locked out ourselves if we don't either have a slower speed in how we adopt things, or if we just keep up. So, again, I think millennials actually take more action when they hear my message and they hear what I'm saying, as far as, yeah, that's going to be you. It's like, this is not the time. I don't like to pity old people or think that, we are superior in any way. In a lot of ways, I'd probably argue the opposite. You know what I'm saying? If we were just like in a room just chilling, because I see how much the skills and techniques that are very crucial for life. I'm talking about cooking. I'm talking about engineering. I'm talking about lots of skill sets that I think are being less taught and adopted by specifically American adults.
Yeah, for real.
So, this is important stuff. And I think for people who, like you said, are the bridgers, it's so important to know how to communicate to these different generations, because you can be saying the same exact sentence to two people from different generations and they're going to hear something different. So if you don't have the sensitivity to know how it's landing for both of those types of people, then your life is going to be difficult because people are not going to understand you. So it's worth taking that time out to be patient and figure out how to effectively communicate to people based on where their tech literacy is, or what their generation is, or just how they understand you.
And that's making me think about The Last Dance. Because
I didn't watch this week's episode yet, but
I'm not gonna go into it, but it's just more or less, I grew up in that era, so I know about the Pistons, I know about Boston, I know about LA, I know about Jordan, but to see Michael Jordan in a whole different light and aspect, it's kind of like, it's micro and macro. So now it's like looking at Jordan, I can appreciate LeBron even more. I can appreciate Kobe even more, and even the players before them. So in a nutshell, it's just I think it's just gonna take some work, because I even not only The Last Dance, but it also the conversation that you had with Iddris Sandu. So it's a lot of stuff that I personally wanted to talk to him about and create, where like I'm putting together my family tree right now.
Oh, nice.
And it's I've been able to go back to like 1850 on both sides.
Amazing. I was gonna say, I see a little old picture in the corner. Sorry.
Is that your family? No, it's actually, I'm a barber, so
nice.
It's a bunch of older gentlemen. They remind me of my father, so I was just like, my father, my grandfather. I was like, eventually I'm gonna put it up on the wall. But
nice.
I wanted to be able to start recording like my father, my mom, my brother, my sister, so my kids and their kids can go back and watch this, and I get a lot of that from listening to Gary Vee too. So it's just a a combination of things from the conversation y'all had, and and that. Out of the 10 stimulating reads, what was your collected idea from the books, and how do you apply it to your life?
Out of the 10 stimulating reads, what was the what out of the books?
What was like the collective idea? Because I know you got some from each and every book, but like, what was the overall like idea that you would say you got and that you apply?
Well, I think what is important about each of those books is that they don't really seem interesting at first sight. You know how they say don't judge a book by its cover and stuff like that. And I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, we might think, oh, well, I should only read books about business and only business books are going to help me. but it's not true. I like to point out that even if you're an entrepreneur, you can read books about science, you can read books about creativity, about economics, about philosophy, and they can offer you just as much, if not sometimes more, than like a traditional business book. So I think for me, what stood out collectively about the 10 stimulating reads was that they have something to offer that you won't expect to be as valuable as they actually are.
Yeah, I can see that. Like when I saw the Malcolm Speaks,
Mm-hmm.
and when I saw that book on Zen Buddhism,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, that I want to go get both of them, but I can only imagine what you got from Malcolm, seeing like what and how you've been impacting the culture, and then the Zen Buddhism. Again, that was kind of like the artist way when I read and started studying Zen Buddhism. Um, I'm I think I'm just looking forward to that book, that second one that was on the list.
That's good.
All right. What are your top 5 Jay-Z songs? You know I had to ask you that.
You're putting me on the spot. You're putting me on the spot. Oh man, I wish I was prepared.
3. No, I could.
Okay,
I know if I prepared you.
Well, my number one favorite Jay-Z song is "Can't Knock the Hustle."
Okay.
I don't know why. It's just ever since I was a kid.
The song, I think it's the song in general. You know what I mean? Like again, reading the book and seeing the how you mix the art and the business. That's what Jay-Z did. He mixed the art and the business. And he mixed the streets. I'm a business, you know what I'm saying? I'm a businessman.
So I would say that's, oh man, I've been listening to a lot of Reasonable Doubt recently too. That's why it's funny.
Well, let's take it to 3 then.
Let's take it to what?
The 3 songs.
3, yeah. I'm thinking. I like when I was at the concert a few years ago. I freaked out when PSA came on, public service announcement.
Yeah.
It's like, it's for me, my favorite Hov songs are not about like how lyrical they are. They're just about the energy. So the energy of PSA is just so like empowering and just makes you feel so confident. So I'll put that as number 2. Since you put me on the spot, let me think. A third one, probably Takeover. Okay. And see, like, that's the same energy. It's like, I literally have been in like Ubers on my way to big meetings, and that is what I'm playing in the car. Okay. Like before I walk in the yeah, like I'm 5'2", I'm a woman, like I have to make sure my energy is 100% correct. Yeah. And that music makes me feel like I'm 6 feet tall and I can do anything. So
that's all right. Me being a barber outside of customer service, what's a way that I can use technology to enhance the experience for current clients and potential clients?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of ways. I think what first came to mind is testimonials, like using Instagram and just social media to get people to kind of show off how happy they are from the services, especially when we're talking about grooming and any type of service that is requiring like an aesthetic result. People really want to see the pictures. I know when I'm getting my hair done, I don't want to just hear that you do it. I want to see that you do it and you can do it well each time. So I think, having branded content around the results that your customers are getting specifically can kind of excite people who are looking for, a new barbershop or looking for a new barber to be like, to keep you top of mind. It's so important in marketing. Sometimes it's not about getting the customer right away, but it's about just reminding them on a daily basis that when the time does come, they know who to call, they know where to go.
Got you. All right. Got a few more questions. I know time.
Yeah, go for it. It's okay if we go a little bit over the 30 minutes as well.
Okay. Do you think school online is the new norm for school-aged children up to the collegiate level?
I think it's way more normal than it was before 2020, for sure. I don't know if you saw the news, but Twitter just announced that their employees can now work from home forever. So, they announced that news yesterday. And even though that's one company, it's a big company, and it kind of puts everybody else on the front line. The other big tech companies are now sort of like feeling the pressure to make decisions like that. And definitely institutions like schools and colleges are also really trying to crunch the numbers, figure out, you know, if it's possible for them to go mostly remote.
I think it's gonna have to, because I just think about the students that were on campus, right? They
Uh-huh.
had to leave campus, now they working from home.
Right.
Work. So it's almost like one side of me is like, why waste that money going to school when I could just do the work that I was gonna normally do from home?
Right.
So now it's less about the experience of, okay, I'm meeting new people and doing these things, and it's more about the work that's getting done.
I think
So
there's going to be a huge disruption in education. I mean, I personally, I didn't finish school. I dropped out pretty
gotcha.
much the second I enrolled.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to encourage, you know, everybody's different and some things you have to go to school to do. But I think for me, again, growing up with so much technology, I was just like, I can learn how to do this. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I can go to YouTube University and self-study if institutions, if schools are going to require people to learn remotely, then of course people are going to start questioning, should I want to learn remotely from this institution, or should I
Mhm.
pursue this myself? So
Yeah, I went through a situation, and it's just kind of going back to the question about the elders. It was like once I got put out of school, I had to sit around my pops and my uncles, and it was like I told my folks, I was like, I learned so much more sitting down with them than I would ever learn in a university, where I have a podcast now called It's More Than a Haircut. And it just basically started from me having a conversation with other clients, or my clients sitting in a chair. And once I said it's more than a haircut, it rung a bell, because I'm like, look at the stock market.
mhm,
One would look at the stock market and go and get into cryptocurrency. One would
right,
look at cryptocurrency and get into the stock market.
right,
Then you would say, well, I'm a psychologist, because now they leaving certain information with me that they might not share with, family members, their
mhm,
significant others, or whatever.
right.
So, you put that into the mind frame too. So I can see what you're saying as far as school is, I'm not gonna say it's obsolete, but it's just one of them things that I see that it's being disrupted on a
Oh
major.
yeah, yeah, you're right. Hmm.
So what advice would you give to my son and daughter about technology in life? Now my daughter's 14, soon to be 15, and my son is 12.
Uh, you know, I got to be honest in saying I'm not sure I'm comfortable giving an answer because
No, it's
the
cool. It's cool. I'm not necessarily looking for an answer. Just on the
well,
thoughts. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, and that is the answer, right? The answer is that we have, especially with the way we've designed our social media, um, the victims who are experiencing the most symptoms of depression and suicidal thoughts and things like that are actually young girls,
Mm,
actually young Black girls, even more. And there's a bunch of research on this. If you Google this information, you will see it. And it's a lot of that is because um, you know, the way Instagram is designed and a lot of social media is designed, it's to compare our social lives, it's to compete our social lives, which is hard enough to do as adults. But you put that pressure on, you know,
child.
a 14-year-old, and you are really, you know, potentially damaging their self-esteem, their confidence. And so I think, you know, obviously I don't have kids right now, but I do plan to have. And, you know, I'm thinking about, okay, and I have little brothers and nieces and things like that I'm concerned about. And the safest thing to do, well, I can't even say that. I mean, part of me wants to say the safest thing to do is, like, you know, take the phone out of their hand, but it causes social isolation now because everyone has the stuff that
Yep.
it's too weird if you don't have it. So you have to somehow trust that your child will, you know, be, responsible and apply critical thinking when they are seeing these images and these influences that that are coming from social media. And, you know, American culture introduced these ideals of perfectionism and unrealistic, beauty standards with television, but
Man,
it's taken a whole new like world now with social
Yeah.
media.
But I don't think it was just TV. I think it was magazines,
Absolutely.
the TV, the movies, just like everything in general.
Yeah.
The way they
I,
market it, you know what I mean? Where it's like I always question the effects of beauty where I'm like, so you telling me you gotta be this small, you gotta be this tall,
right.
your hair gotta be this, your nose gotta be so then you start seeing and this is making me think about I had a conversation with a therapist, a podcast with a therapist.
Uh-huh.
And one of the topics I brought up was it was a young girl in California that killed herself based on the isolation with the COVID situation and the kids not being in school and around people. But
Yeah.
she was like a baseball player and a basketball player. But it was like I was wondering like where was the pressure coming from? And like hearing what you're saying and the perspective that you're coming from, I can see like it's a real issue.
I mean, humans are social creatures, and I was tweeting actually about how, COVID is just part of the health crisis. The other part is going to be people dealing with self-isolation and loneliness, and it's very emotionally very painful.
Yeah.
And it
I'm a
shapes.
loner, so I feel you. But I'm a loner, so it's like I go and paint. I'm gonna go draw. I'm gonna go write some. I'm gonna take, and I feel like the artist way things of that nature help me out to
Mhm.
deal with self. Like, look, hey, go and clean up, go and wash some dishes, go and draw, go and read a book. But it's like you said, a lot of people.
We're still social.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
yeah,
still
yeah. I'm
social.
still, yeah, still.
Yeah, we need those. And I love what you're saying. It is so important to know yourself enough to know, okay, how can I, explore my curiosity, explore my creativity. But yeah, I mean, I think part of why I got so passionate about talking about how technology negatively impacts us is I was experiencing a lot of loneliness and I don't know if I want to say depression because I never got it clinically like tested.
Yeah.
But I technically won at Instagram when I built my first company. I won, like, in the sense that I got the followers, I got the fame, I got the money, but I was miserable, right? So I think my important
From an empty standpoint, when you said miserable, or was it just
yeah, I was miserable in the sense that I had no self-esteem. The reason why I started the company, and I'm sure if you read the book, you kind of
yeah?
saw some of the story, is because I had an empty sort of inherited dream, not a dream that I created for myself, but a dream that was kind of pushed on me to be rich and famous. That's a very common.
A white picket fence. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't for me. It wasn't even white picket fence. It was just like, just be having a lot of tension
Well,
and
I'm saying that's kind of where like the dream is built from, though. That's what.
yes, that is, you're right. That is the origin of how this all got started. And so, I went into it with the wrong intentions. And that's why I warn a lot of the people who come to me and they want to grow their following and they want to do this. And the first thing I ask them is why?
Mhm.
Why? Do you have something to say, or are you trying to receive validation from external factors? I think it's totally fine if you have a message and you want to be creative and you want to share, but you'll be surprised how many times people get stuck when I ask them and they realize they're trying to or they're mistaking attention for presence, they're mistaking attention for connection with actual people, and it stops a lot of people.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to be ashamed about. I think, again, this is a common pressure a lot of people feel. They feel like, you're not important, or you're not worth anything unless you're popular, and it's just not true. But if you look around, it seems like it is.
Yeah, I guess that's something that I saw from the book is being organic, like letting it flow.
Right.
That's going to resonate as well as the artist way. Like let it be organic because if I'm chasing that high of what somebody else is doing, I'm gonna let myself down. And I'm like I'm learning it the more that I go on personally. Like, look, that's what these people are doing. That's how they got their
Right.
attention. Like, you have your followers that you have. You know how they interact with you. Continue to interact with them. More people will come along as you go on, on your journey. So I know I found myself impacted in that way too, where it's like man, this dude, I know this dude, he doing woo woo woo. I'm
Right.
like, damn, man, I need to get. But then this other dude, I'm like, damn, I need to be doing this too. But I tend to not get try to get caught up into that.
Yep. That's the important part.
So this is kind of similar to the last question. You being an adult now, what would you share to tell your younger self?
Um, phew. I would say, I would say, get a grip, but in a loving way, because I was very confident and cocky about business and all these other things, but my personal self-esteem and my personal development was so low.
Okay.
I dealt with anorexia. I dealt with, like I said, just, I don't want to say it was clinical depression, but I was not healthy in the sense that anorexia is a sickness where you know, obviously you're not eating, but it's deeper than not eating. It's a form of self-hate. It's a very abusive form of self-hate. And of course, when I was doing it, I didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
I thought I was getting closer to perfection. And looking back, I'm like, no, girl, you were starving your spirit. You were starving your soul. And it makes me very sad to even think about that and think about how many people are dealing with that. So that's why I would tell her to get a grip, in the sense that don't don't try to be perfect. It's not going to happen. And don't try to get validation from other people, from men, from, people that, you think you need the validation from. Again, it scares me how easy it is to win on Instagram, but still be a totally sick person inside your head. And that's why I don't respond well to, people who, again, people thought I was a genius, and that was a lot of pressure on me too. People thought I was so special for learning how to figure out how to get people to follow me. And I was dealing with imposter syndrome, because I'm like, I'm sick. Like, I have a problem. And it was scary to even admit that to myself, because I was afraid of what would happen. But let me just say, I've never been happier now. I'm so happy that I can balance, what I care about and what because you're always going to care about the opinions of others, but it should never come at the cost of your sanity or your health. I care about what my customers think. I care about what my audience thinks. I have to care about that, but I'm not going to care about it to a point that I abuse myself or abuse anybody, because that's ridiculous. That's not something that I, am willing to do ever again. So I think, I would tell her to please be kind to herself, to her soul, the inside. I didn't realize you could develop. I didn't know what an inside was. I only thought I literally thought my job was to just make everything look good. I didn't know that my job was to make myself feel good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was a really interesting journey.
That's it's some good, some great insight, because it's making me think about one of the points in the book when you were talking about the Jordans. I could relate to it, where my folks was like, hell no, you're not buying no damn Jordans. But it was like, my son asked me for some Jordans, and it's making me think about, okay, when he came to me talking about, I was like, all right, I'm gonna share what my parents share with me, but I'm gonna add to it. So my homegirl has her own, I call it a stock market company called Amplify. So she actually worked on Wall Street. So she was like, instead of buying the kids things for Christmas, why don't you buy them some Nike stock? I was like, all right. So what I'm gonna do is, hey son, you gotta give me $30 towards the Nike stock, and I'll put the other portion to it, because I'm learning about the stock market.
Right.
So he wound up doing it, and to this day he asks me, hey Dad, how much did I make off the Nike? So
that's great.
It's
might as well invest in the companies that you're paying, because you ain't gonna stop being a customer no time soon.
My iPhone, I'm like, look, I told my brother we were AT&T, bro. So we gonna buy some AT&T stock. If I'm paying them every month, they gonna have to pay me back every 3 months. I gotta get something out of it.
There
So
you go.
it's
I love that.
yeah, it's some lessons that I learned just putting in the time. You good on the time, or you still gotta do?
Yeah, I have a few more minutes.
Okay. Just trying to see if I had anything else.
I love these questions.
Yeah, I mean I had to because I was like, I'm reading a book and I'm like, man, this is dope. I do have another one. So my background is in education. It is the streets. It is basketball. It is art. So being that, and also like media, because like I had my hands in my own media company, as well as I wanted to start my own school, online school, because I see it's a need where a lot of people don't have formulas for their life. And not saying like it's for me to benefit from. It's just
Right.
this is something that worked for me.
Right.
If you take a 0 from 9, or if you add a 0 to 9, it's $90. You
Right.
might say, well, I want to save this amount of money every week. Or I might want to invest this into the stock market. If I'm able to help you get in that lane and see things, or just connect people through a network, I'm just like, how would you say process that and just control and take over that to move in that arena, in those arenas?
And like educating people
You know,
online.
like the education and like the background in media, because I'm
Yeah.
I'm in a lot of different lanes, and not necessarily trying to. It's just more or less like this is just what's been going on in my life.
Right.
You know, from picking up a camera because my uncle used to film the family functions for Easter,
Right.
and now my brother and we were picking up cameras. But now it's just like I want to tap into those different markets at the same time.
Yeah, well, I think it's never been a better time to be an online educator. I have a school. You know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
saw. Yeah, I've been in there. I've been in there.
And so the reason why, and we're just getting started. Like the curriculum I'm developing is it's not even all the way published yet. But and I have a really good friend. Her name is Skittles. I don't know if you've heard of her.
Skills. No, I hadn't heard you call it out, but
Yeah, she's B. Simone's manager. I don't know if you know who B. Simone is.
yeah,
But anyway, she's an expert marketer. Like she is so good at marketing. She's been in the game for a while. And one of the things she always says is she's like, look, y'all are happy to go in debt to get student loans, and y'all are happy to spend $100,000, $200,000 on college. If you can't pay, a couple $100 or a few $1,000s in some specialized education from a teacher that you've already proven that you like, who already knows what your vibe is, then that's on you. You know what I mean?
it's a waste almost. That's what
Right.
I'm saying. It's
That's
like
never been a thing. Like before, if you wanted to learn something, you had to go to school. You had
yeah,
to pay at least $50,000 to $100,000 to even get the information, and that was no guarantee that you were going to like the teacher. That you know what I mean?
understand the information either though.
Exactly.
And that's
So
and that's
the
yeah.
the
That's
luxury,
things.
especially for our communities in the Black community, is like, okay, I can teach you marketing, and I can teach it in my style.
Yeah.
And it's going to resonate on a different level because we share the same culture. We can make the same cultural references. We have the similar interests and ideas, and that makes the learning 10 times more effective because it's coming from a teacher that you actually resonate with. So that's what I have to say. If you feel like you can empower people and educate people, then and they value the education you're giving them, it doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be what we see. The formal people are looking at us. They're they're jealous of what we can do.
Yeah. And this this will be the last point. I know, like you said, you got a schedule. So it's like one point when I read in the book about I can't remember how to explain it, but the graph in the book when
Okay.
how people catch on.
Yes.
I
Uh-huh.
was like, you know what, this shit right here.
Are you an early adopter? I have a feeling
in
you are.
it's in certain areas.
Yeah.
My homeboy is like, hey man, check out this thing called Bitcoin. I'm like, man, what the fuck It's a Bitcoin. I thought he was just talking, just talking crazy. But then
Right.
I feel like if he would have said this is dealing with finances or this is dealing with money, I would have understood what he was saying.
Right.
But I still caught on in the early phases to see how I was telling people recently, like, I feel like we will have a government coin. And here it is a couple of months ago that was like, well, we got a digital currency that we've been working on. Like, I could see why if Bitcoin was effective as it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like some things, yeah, I am an early adopter, but I think it's just more or less like having people become early adopters to what I'm on.
Right.
I think that's what I'm working on from my music or from me being a barber, even my paintings, just different things.
Right.
It's just I'm learning more about my audience. And
Okay.
I learned that with my the customer service aspect from working for my brother
Yeah.
and my pops, like working in a restaurant. So yeah, I definitely appreciate that grab. I was like, okay, I I can apply this and there's no more pressure. Like, man, he over here doing this, he over here doing this.
Right.
It's a dope read.
Thank you so much.
But I'm not gonna hold you. Again, I appreciate you, Alex.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for taking the time out to ask these questions. I really appreciate it. You and your brother for recommending the book as well. It means a lot.
What it was, he recommended he sent me the link to you and Iddris's interview.
Ah, okay.
And I was like,
The entry point.
yeah, I was like, man, I traveled when I heard y'all talking. I was like, damn, they talking about the next 5 years. I was like, damn, I've been thinking about the next decade versus doing a New Year's resolution. And then from there it was just like, I got to go buy the book. I got to support. And I think I bought it for my brother for his birthday. I bought
Oh,
it
nice.
for my daughter. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to get my sister to do your hair eventually. So that's I have to connect. But one last thing, just share a quote, an interesting quote, or just share something with the audience. Just the last thing.
Interesting quote. What have I been telling myself recently? Oh, you want to know the affirmation I've been telling myself the past few mornings? It's a little irrelevant to what we were talking about, but it might help someone listening. Is don't let overwhelm be a way of life. I've been really overwhelmed lately. I've been scheduling a lot of stuff. I'm happy I scheduled this, but there's a lot of projects and clients I'm working with. And I got to be honest, it's a little too much for me. And one of the things I value the most, I value being able to be a homemaker, taking care of my home. Even though I'm not married, I don't care. I like to take care of my home. And I also value my independence. And so when I start to see how things in my life are threatening my ability to just enjoy my home or enjoy my independence, I know it's a time to take a step back. So hopefully that's helpful for anyone listening who might be in that same place.
They help. I mean, they helped me because I was with the whole thing with COVID. Last thing, I've been in the garden. I've been learning coding and
Nice.
video game programming.
Cool.
So then my other things, like you said, home, like taking care of the house. I'm like,
Yes.
I've been running, doing everything else, but like when I come home, like, man, I'm tired as hell. I'm about to lay down. But yeah, I appreciate it.
Of
I
course.
ain't gonna hold you though.
Thank you. Thank you
No
so much.
problem.
Can I do a little plug if anyone's trying to find me?
Come on.
My Instagram is Alex Wolf, and I have a blog where I talk about what we've been talking about on this call, which is tech anthropology and creative entrepreneurship, which you can find at alexwolf.co, not com.co. So say hi, find me on Instagram, and yeah, thank you so much for listening.
It's definitely appreciated.
Awesome.
Peace.
All right.
I'll reach out.
Have a great rest of your day.
All right.
All right. Bye.